Hey y'all, wanted to talk real quick about perpetual spinach. This is probably my favorite green to grow here. My yard, USDA Zone 9, American Horticultural Society, Zone 9B for USDA. It's hot, it's humid here. Regular spinach just doesn't do well here. If you timed it just right, you might be able to get a very small crop in the winter. But this grows much better. And frankly, I think this practically tastes every bit as good as regular spinach and is much more productive. These are some beefy little seeds here. Let's see if we can get it to focus. And I planted a crop in the spring. They went well until the end of the summer when it got really hot here in August. They started to decline. As heat tolerant as this is, it's not gonna survive the extreme heat that we can get down here on the Gulf Coast. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some of this in the garden, and hopefully we can get a fall/winter crop. It'll probably die in the spring, not die, bolt. So we'll get that putting in, and I'll talk to you some more about perpetual spinach while I put that in. So the first thing I'm going to note about perpetual spinach is that it's not spinach. If you've heard anything about it, you know that it's actually a chard, which means it's a beet green, because all chards are actually just beet greens. Don't let that deter you. If you've had Swiss chard or something like that and you didn't like it, this tastes much more like spinach. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about this little seed here, because that's not actually a seed. It's the fruit. It's a cluster of seeds, and so we need to be careful when we plant this that we don't do too many too close, because there's already multiple seeds within each little fruit. So I like to do a 6-inch spacing. It's not too close, but it's also not so far that I'll have gaps. A lot of people say that's too close. You're going to need to thin it out anyway, because you could have 2 or 3 coming out of each of these. But I've got a little over 7 feet here, so I'm going to do 6 inches on center. I've just kind of furrowed a rough row here, and I'm gonna go 6 inches on center. So let's do this. Okay, so I did 6 inches on center, had a few seeds left, so I sprinkled them in between. I'm gonna be thinning anyway in all likelihood, so not a problem. I'm gonna leave this furrowed trench exactly as is. I'm not gonna try and backfill that, because that's clay crumbles. This is that garden I was talking about that needs a lot of work. So I'm just gonna put compost on top. Some nice rich compost here. Yeah, it's just store-bought, but that will be a much better medium for this to grow up through. So let's go ahead and do that, and then I think that should be good. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to water this in, and you're going to need to keep watering this pretty regularly. This stuff is pretty thirsty. It does like a good drink, so you want to keep it wet, and then you can begin harvesting it once you have a couple leaves on each plant. You can start harvesting those older ones. I will say it's delicious. Fills that niche of spinach. It's a lot more productive, but it's not quite as nutritious. I've often said anything kale can do, spinach does better. Spinach does anything better than kale. Well, nutrition-wise, perpetual spinach isn't quite as good as either kale or traditional spinach. So this perpetual spinach chard, you're gonna need to eat more of it to get that same density of nutrients and vitamins. Though it's still fantastic. It's a leafy green. It's about the same as a chard. So it's not bad in any stretch, but it's not quite as good as those others, but so much more productive that you can eat more of it. So that's my introduction to perpetual spinach. We'll revisit once we have some sprouts and see how this looks. Thanks for watching. Do the internet video thing. Check out the book. Thanks. Bye, y'all.